Excellencies, dear friends of Sudan, all protocol observed. I thank Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for providing me the opportunity to once again appeal to help relieve the dramatic suffering of the Sudanese people, whom I so deeply admire. In my previous capacity as High Commissioner for Refugees, I had the privilege to work extensively in Sudan. I saw firsthand the enormous generosity of the Sudanese people as they supported their own internally displaced population as well as refugees, including those from Eritrea, Chad, South Sudan, and even Ethiopia in certain moments. Now the international community must show the same level of support to the Sudanese people in their moment of despair as the Sudanese people once showed to their neighbors in distress. Your pledges today in this room will be the expression of that support. Next week, the UN system, alongside national and international partner organizations, will also launch the 2025 Sudan Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan and the 2025 Sudan Refugee Response Plan. Together, these plans require $6 billion to support close to 21 million people inside Sudan and up to 5 million others, primarily refugees in neighboring countries. An unprecedented humanitarian crisis in the African continent. I want to once again thank those countries generously hosting 3.3 million Sudanese refugees despite their own very difficult challenges. These UN coordinated appeals far exceed any we have launched for Sudan and for the region. And indeed, it represents the unprecedented dimension of the needs we are facing. Excellencies, Sudan is in the grip of a crisis of staggering scale and brutality. A crisis that is increasingly spilling over into the wider region, and a crisis that demands sustained and urgent attention from the African Union and the broader international community. Humanitarian access remains a fundamental challenge, particularly where the fighting is most active. And I salute local responders, civil society organizations, including women-led organizations, who continue to work bravely and tirelessly to provide assistance and services in their communities, often at great personal risk. Excellencies, as we focus on the response to the humanitarian needs, let's also be clear about basic principles. Civilians, including humanitarian workers, must be protected. Rapid, safe, unhindered and sustained humanitarian access must be facilitated in all areas of need. The external support and flow of weapons must end. This flow is enabling the continuation of tremendous civilian destruction and bloodshed. Excellencies, we know what the Sudanese people want. We have held extensive consultations with Sudanese civilians and are crying out for an immediate ceasefire and the protection of civilians. My personal envoy is engaging with the warring parties on concrete ways to advance these aims, including through the full implementation of the Jeddah Declaration. Excellencies, the holy month of Ramadan is around the corner. At this blessed time for peace, compassion, giving and solidarity, I urge all of you to use your tremendous leverage for good. Generously support the humanitarian response and press for respect for international law, for a cessation of hostilities, life-saving aid, and the lasting peace that the people of Sudan so desperately need. We must do more and do more now to help the people of Sudan out of this nightmare, and I thank you.